Welcome back to Aetheral Space 2.4, the end of our binge read.
Yes, we've been reading this for quite some time, over the last hour or so, taking tiny little breaks between, and we are ready to close this binge recording. Which is sad, because that means I'll have to go another 2 weeks without Aetheral Space. That or we're going to have just a stupid backlog, if we keep doing it this way. But I can't help it, it's really interesting and fun, and I like it. And I wish more people would listen to it. I hope you guys that are still sticking around are enjoying it. Last time, I believe, so they were on a planet, yada yada. I assume you guys have kept up with the recap since. So last time, Skipper was teaching Dragon how to do an Aether ping. And Dragon still can't do it full force yet, but he managed
can't yet
to get
ping
the idea.
at everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, Dragon can ping one person, Skipper can at everyone. And Skipper did a
Skipper
ping.
cannot at everyone, but I will say there is a character in the setting who is strong enough to at everyone.
But oh gosh, 1 second, Tan. You entertain the audience. I'll be right back.
This wasn't in the script. Hello, everyone. How's it going? My name is Tanhony Jones, and this is my story. I was just an ordinary gamer until I was found by the guy called the rich millionaire Darnell German, and he told me that I could become a superhero if I only joined his cult. So I jumped right on board, and with 3 easy payments of $2,000, I was able to find out the secret of becoming a superhero was not inside the greed of money and the lure of the spotlights like Superman, Clark Kent, Jones, Maguire, Batman had done, but I didn't think this through. Words just sort of coming out my mouth now. I wasn't prepared for this. I didn't know this was going to happen. I'm going to do some Breaking Bad impressions now. Jesse! 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 Mr. White, it's a barn house where the cows live. Cow house. Barn world. Thank you, Jesse. This is taking longer than I expected. What else is there? Let me go on to BBC News and see what the latest headlines are. So, dating this this episode. So, pubs and restaurants in central Scotland could be closed. So,
oh my god.
Oh hi.
What's going on?
Well, I ran out of things to talk about, so I started looking at BBC.
Did you
News.
do the recap?
Oh, I was meant to do the recap.
Oh my god. So you just talked about pubs in Scotland
Yeah.
instead of the video?
Well, I also sort of
clicked
talked about
off.
how I became a superhero.
All right, for all one of you who hasn't clicked off, so recap. We said Skipper was teaching Dragon how to do the ping. Skipper pinged. He sent something. They go to the camp. They found out Dean's been attacked by some sort of crazy fly spider creature thing with shark teeth and proboscises, and they're about to go set off to investigate / stop this. And my throat is a little sore, but hopefully I can make it through this last 6-pager.
You can do it.
If it gets rough, I'll switch to 10. This is a bad idea, said Bruno, as they stepped inside the star yacht. Ruth frowned. Don't knock it until we've heard the strategy, Bruno. Skipper definitely has a way for us to win, 100%.
Don't say it.
Yeah, said Dragon, earning himself another glare from Bruno. Give it a chance. Even Dragon. This is a bad idea. Thought Dragon? I was gonna say.
I cannot agree.
Diving into old, abandoned Gene Tyrant ruins in search of some twisted experiment. It was the kind of scenario that horror videographs were built on. It was more than a bad idea. It was a horrible idea. Suicidal, even. And yet Bruno was against it, and to be honest, he'd been irritating Dragon recently. Oh, I love... We stand a petty king. I love how, in the beginning of the series, Hunter called Dragon petty, and I was like, he's cocky, but I wouldn't call him petty. And now he's just blatantly petty. So I look like an idiot. Shaking my head. Give it a chance, said Bruno, as if Dragon had just started talking about the medicinal benefits of drinking mercury. What happens after we give it a chance and we're left a bunch of corpses lying on the floor? I have faith in Skipper. Lied, Dragon. That's like a famous phrase of yours now. Lied, X. He'll see us right. Bruno's glare intensified, hands clenched into fists at his side. "Oh, you're so full of shit!" he growled. Dragon blinked, suppressed the urge to click his tongue in frustration. Bruno had been able to see through him. That was something he didn't like very much at all. His lying and ability to delegate hard work were all he had going for him, so someone who those abilities didn't work on was the most annoying thing in the world. "Hey, Dragon, how about building some real skills?" "I'm not full of shit," Dragon said calmly. "Full of shit." Oh my god, he really liked that.
Yeah, I like doing that.
I just think we need to have a little faith. "Kid gets it," came Skipper's distant shout from the Veritas' kitchen. The instant they'd come in, he'd made his way to the ship's automatic mini-fridge. He'd formed a close relationship with it ever since they'd stolen the vessel. Their captain returned, holding a can in his hand, its surface wet with condensation. For a moment, Dragon thought it was alcohol, which didn't inspire that much faith in whatever plan was going to come out of Skipper's mouth, but then he saw the label. Doc Orange's citrus juice for kids. Grow up big and strong." Dragon rolled his eyes. "So," said Skipper, taking a big slurp from the can, "we've got ourselves a bug on the loose. Needless to say, this isn't an ideal situation." Bruno spoke up. "We should just leave. That's the solution to the problem." Skipper wagged a finger. "Not so fast, Bruno. I'd rather not sail this ship before the repairs are done." "Well," said Bruno, clearly getting heated, "I'd rather not get eaten by a giant fly." Bruno switched with Serena, who spoke with a grin. "Don't worry, Bruno. I'll protect you." "See," said Skipper, matching the grin. "It's fine. She'll protect you." Bruno reasserted himself, brow furrowing into an angry V. "That's not my point." "What is your point, then?" said Ruth, speaking up for the first time in a while. She leaned against the wall, looking at Bruno. "My point," began Bruno angrily, only to stop and repeat himself more quietly, more calmly. "My point is that we're being reckless. We're taking unnecessary risks for no good reason. That's my point." With the words unnecessary risks, Bruno glanced at Dragon. Clearly, Del Ced still didn't trust him. Thinking logically, Dragon couldn't really blame him at all. Dragon was basically some rando who'd gone from hostage to crew member while Bruno wasn't looking. Emotionally, though, Dragon was offended. He'd shot a special officer in the back, pretty much signed his own death warrant. What more could he do? How many times did you have to save people's lives before they trusted you? Fucking at every protagonist to every fiction story. "I think," Dragon began. "Nobody cares what you think," snapped Bruno. "Oh, this really is, this do be a Bacchio, though."
Shut the fuck up, Jonah.
"Dragon, we're gonna make it shut the fuck up, Dragon. No one loves you." Dragon glared back at Bruno, gritted his teeth, growled. Ruth and Skipper glanced at each other uncomfortably. "I think," he said again, "we should know exactly what we're dealing with before we do anything." "That's..." Bruno frowned, clearly frustrated by the fact that Dragon was agreeing with him. "Well, yeah, but..." Dragon ignored him, turning back to Skipper. "You said this thing was maybe a descendant of one of the Gene Tyrant's experiments. How would that work? History says that most of the Gene Tyrant's creations, except a human subspecies, obviously, were sterile. They were supposed to be pretty big on that law." Skipper rubbed his chin, and as he did so, he let himself fall backwards into a decadently comfortable position on the nearest couch. Life finds a way, I guess," he said.
"Jeff?"
You really leaned hard into the Jeff Goldblum. It's
I
not
didn't even realize he was like
subtle.
lying down like Jeff Goldblum when I wrote that. That was
that's not. That's the fucking.
I know,
life
but it's like
finds
that's
a
the
way.
unconscious part of it.
Oh my god. So you don't know. I do know. I just told you. Life finds a way. Dragon groaned. "Anyway, that's not even the point. What I'm wondering is how many of these things there are. I'm barely up for fighting one, let alone a horde." He heard Bruno speak up from behind him once again. "Who said you'd be fighting? Don't think you can volunteer yourself for that. Fucking Bruno!" Could Bruno just let him speak without butting in with his needless comments? This is literally my train of thought right now that I'm reading. It was seriously getting on Dragon's nerves. "If there was a whole bunch of fly monsters lurking around," said Ruth, "I think we would have seen them by now." "You think," said Dragon, waving a finger to punctuate his points. "You think. Nobody knows anything." Then we need to find these things out," Skipper shrugged, his lopsided shrug. "We need to test things. Experiment." The crew looked at Skipper, identical concern on each of their faces. Despite their own individual opinions, it was clear to all of them that Skipper getting excited about this wouldn't end well at all. He looked like a kid in a candy store, except the store was an ancient ruin and the candy was a man-eating monster. "Think about it," he continued, nestled between the cushions of the couch. "That thing went after, Dean, right? His name's Dean?" Dragon nodded. "It went after Dean," Skipper said, "and Dean went into the ruins earlier that same day. Deep into them, from what I heard. That thing only came out after someone went all the way into the palace. Maybe it was meant as a guard." "So it was hunting down an intruder," Bruno nodded. "That makes sense." "So," concluded Slipper, Slipper. Included Skipper
The
slapping
new
his hand on the
character.
arm of the couch as punctuation. You can feel the wine coming in. If it goes after people who have intruded into the ruin, it seems to me we have the perfect bait. All eyes turned to Dragon. He idly wondered if Muzazi would be willing to forgive him if he begged on his hands and knees. It's too late, bitch. You're doing great, kiddo, came Skipper's tinny voice over the communicator. They'd provided a compact headset with which to stay in contact. I'm just sitting down, Dragon said, voice flat, eyes glaring straight forward resentfully, and you're doing great at it. Indeed, he was just sitting down. He was sitting down in the middle of the great hall of the palace, waiting for a genetic abomination to come try to eat him. It wasn't the most relaxing sit-down he'd ever had. After all he'd done for these people, he'd been reduced to bait. God truly loved to punish the good. This is doubly dumb because they kidnapped him because they needed him, so why would they risk him?
There's no risk.
I don't know. It seems unnaturally shady. This is the first time it didn't quite click for me, but I guess I'll trust you. You are the author. We're right with you, said Ruth, irritatingly cheerful. Anything happens, we can be there in a second. I'm glad that Ruth, kind of seems to be Dragon's buddy since this. I've noticed that she's kind of a little bit supportive of him, which I respect because it seems like Skipper, is the mentor who gives him shit and Bruno hates him. It's nice that Dragon has a fucking ally. Gee, thanks, said Dragon, voice still monotone. No problem, said Serena, triggering Raquel flashbacks. She clearly had an impenetrable defense when it came to sarcasm. Was that supposed to be Ruth again, or is that actually just Serena?
Putting in.
Okay. Dragon sat there, cross-legged, cleared his throat. Dust hung thick in the air like a dog.
Not
a fog,
like a fog.
like a dog. Like a fog.
It's in the shape of a dog with dust.
Borf, borf!
The gene tyrants. What were they working on?
Dust hung thick in the air like a fog all too eager to coat the inside of your mouth given the chance. He got the feeling that, if he sat there long enough, the dust would settle over his body and turn him into a statue. He closed his eyes to spare them the stinging. Breathe in through your nose, breathe out through your nose. Just take things easy, Dragon told himself. A giant monster's gonna come and kill you any second, but just take it easy. Imagine Bruno tripping over a rake. He chuckled silently to himself, then opened one eye to watch his surroundings. Still no monster. He couldn't see Skipper and the others either, now that he thought about it. They were supposed to be hiding in cover, bit still. I assume that's still. Shouldn't he be able to see a foot sticking out or something? Excuse me. Had they left him to get eaten by a giant bug? Unlikely. There'd be no benefits in it for them. But still, shouldn't he be able to see them? Where were they? Oh, why doesn't he just aether ping? Were they messing with him? He put a hand to the ground to push himself back up to his feet, and something clicked menacingly from a short distance behind him. Oh, fuck. I think it's the first time Dragon said fuck. Slowly, reluctantly, as if the danger would only really come into existence once Dragon saw it, he turned to look behind him. His eyes widened in horror as he saw the source of the sound. Saw the hulking figure moving out of the shadows, closer than what seemed possible. It was the size of a fucking bear. A colossal, insectoid creature that looked like someone had taken every bug people had phobias about and mashed them into a single magnum opus of awful. The thing had a black, swollen body with the vaguest shape of a spider, an asymmetrical number of legs, at least 20 in all, splayed out on either side. They twitched and flexed like fingers, and a feeling of nausea rose up in Dragon's throat just looking at them. A huge stinger, warped into a cruel, scythe-like blade, swayed from side to side behind the creature. A vivid green fluid dropped from it, doubtless some kind of venom. The head, a deformed protrusion sprouting from the front of the creature's body, was covered in eyes and teeth, with no discernible pattern. Eyes on its face, eyes in its mouth, eyes on its teeth. And the teeth themselves, needle-like fangs, took position next to brickish crotchers, took position next to soft, slab-like gums. It was as if someone hadn't been able to decide what kind of tooth they liked the best, and had simply elected to include them all. 3 spike-like proboscis sprouted from between the gaps in the beast's teeth, each long enough and sharp enough to run a man through, to run Dragon through. The creature's jaw creaked open, revealing even more teeth, a veritable forest of them. Dragon froze. Even with the danger in front of him, he didn't dare move. This was a unique organism. He had no idea what would set it off. He had no data to work with. A croaking sound poured from the insectoid maw, growing in volume and structure until they formed words. The creature spoke. Intruder. 3 syllables, repeated mindlessly. Just listening to it, Dragon could tell that it had no true intelligence, no true motivation or desire. It did these things because that was what it was designed to do. It was all theater. That was the worst part. Any attempt to deduce information about the creature only told Dragon about its creator. The thing had been made to look like this, to evoke fear and disgust. Every deformity was built in, every horror purposeful and exaggerated for maximum effect. It was like a parody of itself, a cartoon monster. Dragon opened his mouth to say something, to shout that the quarry had arrived, to communicate his deductions, to ask Skipper what the hell was taking him so long. But he didn't say any of that. In the end, all he could do was scream.
So, new protagonist next chapter. No. Dragon... Well, I won't say, but I will say that Dragon is alive at the start of the next chapter.
That was a very intense description.
Thank you.
If I may give you just the slightest bit of criticism as a fellow writer, and this doesn't bother me because I'm a very simplistic reader, I'm not picky. Your descriptions are really good, but I think you're missing one of the senses. I mean, you don't mention taste a lot, but that's usually not relevant. But I feel like you don't mention enough what things smell like. The smell of the tomb, what the creature... I feel like if you include that a little bit, it could slightly improve your descriptions. But otherwise, this was excellent. That was a very good build-up. My only qualm, and this isn't even against the writing, is just that we ended on the cliffhanger last time. I was excited for the fight, but now we're just introduced to the monster. But that just makes me all the more excited to read next binge, which hopefully I don't have to wait too long for.
Hopefully not.
Yeah. So, viewers, what is our question, Tan? Do you have anything in mind?
Maybe what part of the setting are you interested in learning more about?
How
about you, Darnell?
Yeah, for me personally, I want to learn more about the origin of Aether, like how it was discovered, who started practicing it, because, you know, it obviously isn't in any way, but it has inspirations and ties, I think, to the Force.
Yeah,
and I'm kind of interested in, like, was there some sort of order that practiced Aether? Are there, like, religions based around it? Who was the first person to wield Aether? What all exactly can it do? That's a big one for me. In terms of world building, I assume is what you were asking.
Yeah,
Because otherwise my main focus is just I care the most about what is happening to the characters right now. Very invested in the characters. It's a very character-heavy story, which is my favorite kind of story.
Thank you.
And I've grown invested in and love all the characters. I even love Bruno a little bit, even though he's literally just exists to be a shithead, the Dragon.
He's got his stuff
going on. At least
going
at the
on.
moment. Yeah. He used to be in that organization that was like some government thing.
Yeah, he's a UAP.
The name of UAP, that's what it was. I thought it was UPA for some reason.
UPS.
But yeah, that's my most exciting. Is I want to learn more about the origin of Aether. But what about you guys? What world building aspect or character or situation or etc. What are you curious about in the setting? Because there's still a lot left to be unfurled. Oh yeah, my other thing I guess I'm curious about would be why the fuck did they pick up Dragon?
Oh yeah.
All right. I was about to ask you what yours is, but you're the fucking author, so there's no point unless there's something you haven't written about yet that you're wondering what you're going to write about.
I pretty much have a very broad sketch of the rest of the story in my head already.
Nice. All right, I guess we will end it there then. Thank you guys for listening along once more. I hope you enjoyed, and I will hope to see you next time. Bye!
Bye!